Good evening, folks. So we had a little 3-point party last night in Chicago. So we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and some of the other players on the Indiana Fever and a few other things before we close out this night and I hit the hay. So the Indiana Fever came off I would call this a pretty tough 5-game road trip that culminated in back-to-back games, okay? Now, Caitlin Clark last night, from what she said, told Stephanie White that it was going to be one of those nights. She could feel it. And she closed out the road trip with 37 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, and bested her all-time personal 3-party with 8 3-pointers. Okay, the previous high was 7, and I believe that was against the Liberty in 2025. So let's talk a little bit, because there were a couple of games in there that they lost, right? And, my feeling was when I went into this thing, and I said this to a friend, if they come back from this road trip 3-2, we're in good shape. They're in good shape. Okay? That's exactly what they did. And they had already punched their ticket to the playoffs. They could have easily just gone into this with a different kind of mentality on the 5th game of the road trip, but they did not do that. They went out there and played to win. And Caitlin Clark certainly did shine, and she was the engine for the team, but there were a lot of really good players out there. Last night, Lexi Hull, looked great. And it was great to see her play that way. Michaela Timpson continues to improve her game, okay? Monique Billings, all right? And our new backup center, Mercedes, she was fantastic last night, okay? Misha Hines-Allen, I mean, it was an overall team effort. Kelsey Mitchell, 30 points, okay? There is no better guard tandem in the WNBA than Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, okay? The fact that they are on the same team and they're out there at the same time and they complement each other so well and they get along so well and love each other so well and have so much respect for each other, that's a huge plus for the Indiana Fever. And the Indiana Fever beat this team last night without Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston has not played a back-to-back game all season, okay? But other people filled in for her and did a great job. And it's great to have players like that. That's the whole purpose in having a team. So what I get tired of is some of the commentary I see on YouTube channels when Caitlin Clark, I guess we could call it, underperforms, maybe for her. The only game where she had a really totally off game was against the Wings with 10 points and 9 assists and 4 rebounds. Okay, so let's look at what she did on this road trip. All right, August 16th against the Atlanta Dream, 26 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds. August 18th against the Tempo, 24 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. August 20th against the Wings, 10 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds. August 22nd against the Liberty, 21 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. August 23rd against the Sky, 37 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, 8 3-pointers. On any given night, many players in the WNBA will take those numbers. Many, okay? Many players will take those 24 points and 7 assist nights or 26 points and 9 assist nights, okay? But we have come to expect Caitlin Clark to do what she did last night almost every game, and that is humanly impossible, okay? There has never been a player in the league, the NBA or the WNBA, that's been able to do that every single night, all right? I have to say most of the naysayer comments are men, and I know where that's coming from. And you know what? just go back and watch the NBA, okay? That's all you got to do. I got highlights too tonight, just so you know, from last night's game. But a couple other things, because we get into the MVP discussion, okay? And we get into the MVP discussion about Caitlin Clark, all right? Because as far as I'm concerned, she's having an MVP season. By the way, let me interject this before I continue with this. Carol Lawson, who was the coach of the FIBA qualifying tournament back in March, has come out and stated that Caitlin Clark has elevated her game incredulously, ridiculously since March. And I totally agree with her. I think we're looking at a totally different player on the field, on the court. I think that in March, she was just coming back from injury. She was still unsure of herself. It was the first real competitive action that she had been in for quite some time, and she still managed to win the MVP of that tournament, and rightfully so. But I think the difference between Caitlin Clark in March and Caitlin Clark in August is immense. All right. She continues to improve her game on every possible level. And this is what I'm saying about Caitlin Clark. She herself, just less than a month ago, put herself at a 6 out of 10 of where she wants to be as a basketball player. Great players are never satisfied with their performance, and Caitlin Clark is no exception. All right. So you're going to see her even get better if that's possible, but it is possible, okay? Because we've seen what happened between March of this year and August of this year, and that was a huge leap as far as I'm concerned, all right? She is like, I don't know, the little engine that could. I mean, she is literally running the team, and Stephanie White has said that, all right? She has said that. She runs the offense. So, that's a great compliment by Carol Lawson, and it's great faith in Caitlin Clark by Stephanie White. And, for all those people who think that that's not what Stephanie White wants to do, I still see all the comments about Stephanie White's ruining her career. Please stop, all right? You know what? I've said this before. Don't do that on my stuff, all right? Because I'm just going to block you, all right? I don't have any patience for that. There are any number of clowns out there making videos with all that kind of hate Stephanie White shit. You can go hang out over there. All right. That's not going to be, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. All right. Somebody made a comment on the Facebook group. Well, Stephanie White probably told her to pass the ball. Well, guess what? That's her fucking job. She is a point guard. She sets up the plays. She makes everybody around her better. That's what real superstars do. They elevate the players around them. They don't hang on to the ball for themselves. That's ball hogging. They don't make good point guards. Okay? Yeah, she probably told her to pass the ball. That's the job of point guard. And she's point guard 1, okay? She is the engine for the Indiana Fever's offense. And in order to win anything, championships, games, you have to have all the players involved. All right. It's not just the Caitlin Clark show. So let's get that one off the table. Let's get another thing off the table. We talked about the MVP. I'm going back to the MVP now. And it was pointed out to me that guards don't really win the MVP. Okay. There have only been a few guards that have won the MVP. It usually goes to like a big person, like an Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart. All right. But there have been a few guards that have won. So somebody had to make the comment, the league will never let Caitlin Clark be the MVP because she's straight and white. Okay, right there, you smell like a bigot and a racist. And I immediately blocked that person. So let me make one thing clear to people, all right? The league doesn't stop any player from winning the MVP. The league doesn't choose the MVP. The MVP is voted on by up to 75 media people, sports writers. That's who picks the MVP, and it's run on right. It's done on a ballot. They put down a number of names, and then they rank those names, and then the one with the most votes wins the MVP. Okay, the league doesn't offer up who the players are who can compete for the MVP, nor does the league vote or select the MVP. It is the sports writers who choose the MVP. So before you open your big bigoted mouth, okay, know what you're talking about. All right? So I'm going to just say this. And I've said this before, and then I'm going to let it sit because I'm not going to get into a long, protracted discussion. Whether you like it or not, the WNBA has always been a league. It's a league of three things that has been the target of this administration: women, the LGBTQ community, and people of color. Okay? Now, there are certainly white people in the WNBA. Okay? Right? There are certainly straight people in the WNBA. But the WNBA has always been a league of women, women of color, and the and women who identify as gay. Okay, there are no transgender players in the WNBA. Let me repeat that. Okay, so what you are in terms of skin color or what you are in terms of your sexual orientation does not come into the voting at all for the MVP. So I'm not going to tolerate that stuff. This is not the climate where I'm going to keep quiet. And I'm not going to tolerate that stuff. So if you're going to spout that kind of bullshit, go to Black and White Sports. You'll have plenty of opportunity there. All right. But you're not going to do it on my video channel or in the Facebook group. As a matter of fact, I monitor both of those things very carefully. I look at every single comment every single day. And I respond to quite a few of them. So if you ask me a question, I suggest you go back and look at the comments. All right, because I do answer and I do respond. So that's all I got, okay, except for highlights. And I'm going to show you that. But let me just say this. The Fever are now off all week. When they come out of the tunnel, they said, see you Friday. That's the game I'll be at. Friday, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Connecticut Sun, okay? Oddly enough, that's who I saw them play last year in Boston. But this time, I'm headed out to Indiana to see Caitlin Clark play at home in the final game before the break for the FIBA tournament. And then right after that game, I think within a few days, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Stephanie White will be headed over to Germany for the FIBA World Cup. And we will not see any WNBA action at all until September 18th when they come back and have to play in Toronto. Okay? Then at that point, there's 4 games left, including back-to-back closing games with the Minnesota Lynx. Should be interesting. Now, let me say this. It seems that our old friend DeWanna Bonner has managed to get a contract buyout so that she could go to a potential contender for a championship as she winds down her 17-year career. Look, I'll give DeWanna Bonner credit for her basketball acumen and her play, but I don't like DeWanna Bonner as a human being. And somebody said, please, not the Fever. I honestly don't think that's going to happen after what she did the last time she was here. I don't think she would ever come back to the Fever, nor do I think the Fever would actually claim her as an unrestricted free agent. So as a result of the contract buyout, she has to clear waivers, and then she becomes an unrestricted free agent. And what I'm hearing is that the 2 teams who have the biggest chance of landing DeWanna Bonner are the New York Liberty and I think the Atlanta Dream. I think that was the other team. Yeah, it was. So I don't think we have to worry about Dewana Bonner coming in here to muck up a good thing with the fever. I don't think that's going to happen. She couldn't handle the fever last time around, and she probably will be able to handle him less this time around. So we'll see what happens. I personally don't care where she goes. She seems to kind of do this a lot, you know, become an unrestricted free agent so she can chase another championship. Well, you know, she could have chased one here too, but hey, she chose not to. So that was her misfortune. So anyway, that's what I got for tonight. And now let's take a look at point guard 1 and her teammates as well. Michaela Timpson, tell you right now, Michaela Timpson, you know, she has really worked on her game in the off season, and it shows. And, you know, this beauty of it is she's just another target for Caitlin Clark. And the more targets Caitlin Clark has, the more successful we're going to be, because Caitlin Clark, as Kara Lawson said, is one of the most elite playmakers in the world. Those are her exact words. You know, she's a great scoring machine, but her passing is otherworldly. And now she's got a mid-range, and she can take the ball to the basket. Caitlin Clark is like, I thought she was already the complete player when she came into the league, but I was wrong, because she has got so much more that she can do, and it's going to be downright scary for the rest of the league when she finally gets to the point that she wants to be at. So let's take a look at some highlights, because it certainly is worth it. All right, this is about 4.5 minutes long.
First possession, some lineup changes for Indiana. Second night of a back-to-back, so that means you will not see Aaliyah Boston. She has yet to play in a back-to-back this season, but they go to Timpson early.
It's South Carolina. That's been a point of intention for Chicago to get it inside.
Clark splits the defense, hangs and scores!
And what they were able to do is force a turnover. There's some just great hands for Sydney Taylor being really... This is a great look by Sydney Taylor.
Clark just had an open runway. Taylor in and out. 2-point basketball game. Timpson extends the Indiana lead.
And those are the narrow margins of error.
Look at this.
Timpson and one opportunity. 12 points to the starting lineup earlier this month as Billings intercepts the pass. She's been a bright spot, especially defensively, and just finding openings. If you're open, Clark will find.
But overall, that is where she's so efficient as soon as she sees her team get possession.
Clark teased it up. 2 threes for Caitlin Clark on the evening. And misses that one. Indiana can regain the lead. Clark, another step back 3. Yes! And a little bit of passion afterward.
No, that was a little passion.
Here comes Caitlin. Bobbing and weaving the zip down to Billings. Her 5th assist of the game. And with 3:10 to go, the next foul on Chicago will put the Fever at the free throw line. Off glass, Clark.
That's a tough shot. On the glass, on the defensive side, and then does what she needs to offensively.
Clark finding her footing, continues to lead all scorers in this one.
It's Natasha Cloud and Kelsey Mitchell. Those two will go at it.
Meantime, Caitlin Clark has been getting everything going for herself and her teammates. 2 threes on the evening for Lexi Holmes.
She was able to get downfield with that spacing.
Clark creates space just enough for her.
You are never truly out of the ball game. They know that. He said sometimes we probably hang our hat too much on that because we know she can get a bucket at any time. But she said she is just so proud of her.
Caitlin Clark off the dribble, cold-blooded.
You can't give her an inch of room. Pickup points have got to be early. And J.C. Sheldon.
But it's historic, obviously, and we've got to highlight that. But she wants everyone to know it's not why she plays. She's trying to, oh, deep from like Michigan? Come on, Sarah. Wants this one, has something to say, too. Meantime, Clark putting on a show. 29 points on the evening. A back-and-forth showdown between these two teams. Clark has 29 already. And the recognition by Caitlin Clark, her 8th assist of the game. 8-point game. Clark goes for 30 and does. Clark gets it back. Feeds Hines-Allen.
Look at that.
Big plays in the fourth quarter by Indiana. 5 games. One more game before that World Cup break. Caitlin Clark adds to her total, up to 34.
Picking apart Chicago in a lot of different areas.
Reading what the defense gives her. A new career high from the outside. 8 threes.
Look at how far out of the three-point line. You first see Caitlin Clark, quick step back.
Stirring the pot here. Clark, dunk down, goes for the double-double. Her 5th 30-10 game of her career. For some perspective, only 4 other W players have ever done that once.
So that was unbelievable. Last night's game was unbelievable. It's going to be one I'm going to watch over again. I'm probably going to watch it. I don't know, tonight, maybe. Because she was that good. You know what? And I'm sorry, folks, but for the most part, over the last month and a half, she's pretty much been that player. She has, like I said, taken this whole thing to another level. And yeah, any player can have a bad night. You know what? Every single player that's ever played professional sports has had bad nights. Any one of them, okay? You know, even when I was watching Bird and the Celtics, Bird had his off nights. That's part of being a human being, okay? You're not machine. They're not machines. They have ups and downs. But for the most part, consistency has been Caitlin Clark's calling card. I mean, she has been a world-class player all season long. The beginning of the season, it was a little rough, just getting back after missing an entire season. That takes time. But like I said, you know, I thought she looked great in March in the FIBA tournament, the qualifying rounds, but I look at her now and it's like night and day, and that's scary. But I will be back. I will more than likely be back before the Friday game, okay? Because I'll be on the road heading for Indiana on Thursday. And I got my camera, got some binoculars with a built-in camera, and we're going to have some fun. And I hope to have some stuff to show you, and maybe you'll actually hear from me on the road. But I will be talking to you before then. You guys have a great night. Go Fever.